McKinney residents packed 2 rooms, stood in the lobby for 5 hours, and the council still rammed through a 7-0 vote. So sit with that for a moment. Americans showed up in force. Mothers said no to Sharia law, and the local establishment looked them dead in the face and bulldozed them anyway. And wait until you hear the Muslim Brotherhood clip that explains exactly why they keep doing this. I personally say no to Sharia law. That's the quote that hit the Mooresville chamber while officials admitted that the mosque site had been cleared back in 1998, and that is the part that really burns. You show up now and you learn that the fix got baked in years ago while nobody told the town. Then McKinney dragged citizens through over 5 hours of testimony and still drops a 7-0 stamp of approval. And you can feel the betrayal in that number. You see, it's not zoning trivia, and you know it. Democrats, cowardly councils, and the corporate gatekeepers keep importing the conflict that our troops fought overseas and then smear you for noticing. You see, McKinney residents got 5 hours to speak and then got ignored, which tells you exactly why I dig into tools that actually work, not slogans. I started researching red light therapy with Jonathan Otto because fatigue starts where the body loses control. You see, mitochondria as cellular batteries, think about that. And it matters because when those systems lag, everything downstream feels it first, especially under sustained stress and pressure. Red and near infrared light therapy is a well-researched tool that supports cellular batteries, creates more cellular energy, reduces stress at the cellular level, and supports natural repair processes. I use red light therapy because it's actually built to work with 9 clinically studied wavelengths, dual chip technology, and twice the power in standard devices. So go to myredlight.com/NNN. Use NNN Rep 25 for individual items, NNN Rep 30 for bundles. Stock is limited. Weak systems fail when pressure hits. Quote, we can peacefully infiltrate via immigration. That's the line they said out loud. They stopped hiding the playbook because Western politicians keep doing the work for them. And when you stack that next to Mooresville and McKinney, the whole scam snaps into focus. So let's get into the receipts. So President Trump first, though, said this many years ago. I think Islam hates us. He warned about the Quran, radical mosque, and the need for surveillance. And Michigan just nominated a candidate with Muslim Brotherhood-linked ties. Let's go to this flashback with President Trump.
Islam hates us.
Did you mean all 1.6 billion Muslims?
I mean a lot of them. You look at what's happening with the Quran, it's a pretty scary thing. There's something there that teaches some very negative vibe. They do not respect us at all. Large portions of a group of people, Islam, large portions want to use very, very harsh means. You have more than a handful of moderate Muslims, but you certainly have a problem with Muslims. If you have people coming out of mosques with hatred and with death in their eyes and on their minds, we're going to have to do something. They're trying to take over our children and convince them how wonderful ISIS is and how wonderful Islam is, and we don't know what's happening. And we have to look at the Muslims and we have to do something. We cannot stand by and be the stupid people while our country is destroyed. I want surveillance of certain mosques, okay?
President Trump's own words. Right there. So he was sounding that alarm years ago. Now Marco Rubio picks up the same thread and spells it out. Radical Islam isn't regional. It's a direct threat to America and the West.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And every chance to have the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. And radical Islam has designs openly on the West, on the United States, on Europe. We've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism In the case of Iran, nation-state actions, assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. Okay, the reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America, and they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence. They seek to attack it, including here in the homeland. If you look at the domestic terrorists, at the attacks that have happened here domestically, the overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
So Rubio laying out the national security case. Now watch what happens at the local level in North Carolina, where residents packed a town meeting over a proposed mosque. They say it was pushed without real notice. Hundreds of North Carolinians stormed a town council to protest the proposed 5,000 square foot mosque in Mooresville, North Carolina, that they weren't told about.
Examine closely whether the building of this mosque is right for this community. I personally say no to Sharia law and this Muslim center.
How can you serve and protect us when you can't even tell us about a proposed mosque in our backyard?
It was a full house tonight at the Mooresville Commissioners meeting as the town considers a new mosque in the city that has been met with controversy. Many in attendance voiced their concerns about the new complex, with complaints ranging from traffic issues and a lack of transparency, as the potential property was not listed on tonight's agenda. The Board Commissioner responding to those citizens tonight, saying the property has been approved for religious use since it was annexed into the town limits back in 1998. And they went on to detail how much space the building would take up and encourage the community to continue to share their concerns about any proposed project.
So the Mooresville crowd showed what happens when citizens feel blindsided. In McKinney, Texas, the turnout was even bigger. After 5 hours of public anger, the council still rammed through a 7-0 vote. 2 fully packed rooms, standing room only in the lobby. McKinney, Texas showed up last night. McKinney, Texas does not want another mosque. Everyone's there to oppose it. People are just, they don't want it in their backyard. They're tired of it. So McKinney residents got a full display of the disconnect between the people and the political class, and critics say the same surrender mindset runs all the way to the top in Texas, right to Greg Abbott's own public outreach. Did you hear about what Greg Abbott said? Oh, this will blow your mind. Abbott proclaims Texas will be the land for the Indian community. Deplore.me says the invasion went from him lighting Diwali candles in the governor's mansion to the now open pagan ritual burnings in public spaces. Oh, how Texas has fallen. All it took was a little flaming monkey excrement. A religious cleansing of our land is way overdue, they write. So here is Abbott.
As long as I'm governor of this great state, Texas will be a land for the Indian community, a land for African. And we will continue to celebrate Diwali here in the great state of Texas. So happy Diwali, everybody. Happy Diwali.
Okay, why do we have to keep like hyphenating everything and just giving everybody everything? It's like, you know, can't we just be Americans? I understand the whole religious freedom thing, but come on. So Abbott talks about what Texas will be for newcomers, but the next clip goes to the deeper fear driving the backlash, an argument that infiltration isn't accidental, it's the strategy. Muslim Brotherhood leaders openly explain how they plan to conquer America and Europe and destroy Western civilization. Oh, and it was all on a nice little Zoom call. Yeah.
100 years of our trial to conquer Europe by force failed. They did something wrong, very wrong. They tried for many years to conquer Europe through wars, only wars.
This is the soft Islamic conquest of the West. Basically, what the Islamic and again, I'm an Orthodox Muslim. What we couldn't do in the last, say, 20 years, now the West is doing it for us for free and even paying for it.
Allah permitted them to live off the infidel while they are subduing them. So it had sort of a parasitic type of attitude where they can live off of the host country, where their goal is to eventually eradicate the host culture and supplant it with Islam.
So that warning about soft conquest is exactly why this next exchange matters. Ted Cruz draws a clear constitutional line: protect religious liberty, but go after any group funding or backing terrorism.
Growth, quite bluntly, of Islam, of mosques, of Muslim communities all across the state of Texas, and it's not isolated to the state of Texas. How do you draw the line? How do you create a society safe from the radicalism of, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood, and maintain a pluralistic society where you have the freedom of religion under the First Amendment? Can those two concerns live hand in hand?
Absolutely. And as with so many questions, the Constitution provides the answer. The Constitution protects free speech. Each of us has a right to say what we wish. The Constitution also protects religious liberty. Each of us has a right to worship God as we believe right, as our conscience dictates. What it does not allow, however, are actions that are harmful, and in particular, funding and supporting terrorism, sending money to terrorist organizations that they use to commit murder and acts of violence. The Muslim Brotherhood is not a peaceful religious organization. And by the way, Sharia law.
So Cruz says the line is simple: freedom of religion does not cover support for terror. Shifting gears, another fight over justice is breaking wide open with Stewart Rhodes and Oath Keepers seeing their convictions swept away, convictions wiped out. The seditious conspiracy convictions against Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes and 11 others are gone. It finally happened. A federal judge signed off on Wednesday after the Trump DOJ moved to vacate the cases. Judge Amita Mehta, the same judge who handed Rhodes 18 years, said prosecutors had the authority to drop them even while he disagreed. The DOJ filing said it's not in the interest of justice to continue to prosecute this case. Trump already commuted the sentences. Now the felony records go too. So who owes these men an apology? Source Fox News. While the system finally backs off those prosecutions, the cultural clashes keep boiling every day in America. This next clip out of New York shows a confrontation that critics say reflects a deeper collision over basic American norms. Walking a dog is an American as anything. American culture is dog culture. Americans love dogs. Muslims do not. They consider dogs to be prohibited by Islamic law, haram. So watch what happens in New York City.
This is New York. We about to fuck him up. We hate that ass. Wait, that ass? What's happening right now? That ass. That ass? Get away with your fucking dog, man.
This guy won't leave him alone.
You're moving away already, okay? You're gonna walk towards me. So I'm not laughing. That was the kids there.
Wow. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. That was New York City. Street level blow up in New York feeds a bigger question about who gets protected and who gets blocked, because the next clip, Coca-Cola's own website, appears to even allow Allah is King and Satan is king while rejecting Jesus is king. You got to see this.
Coca-Cola. I'm going to need an explanation for this. All right, we're going to do this one live because I don't want to see any comments that, oh, this is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah. You can see we're on the Coca-Cola website URL right there. We're going to scroll down to personalize our Coke can. The first entry we're going to try is Allah is King. No issues with that. You can see it on the Coke can. Next entry we're going to try. No issues with that. Let's even try Satan is King. Zero issues with Satan. Now let's try Jesus is King. Now that's where there's issues. So you can still see the Satan on the Coke can here. Immediately rejects Jesus is King. Gonna need an explanation on this one.
It says the name or phrase you submitted is not permitted. Wow. So what does that tell you, right? The same double standards Americans are sick of. Christianity gets flagged while everyone else gets a free pass. And now Ted Cruz Senate hearing adds another piece with a witness directly tying the Muslim Brotherhood to the Democrat Socialists of America.
Muslim Brotherhood also partner with political groups such as the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yes, sir, they do.
Simple enough, right? So that's exactly the kind of connection the corporate press works overtime to bury. Then Mike Johnson broadens the fight, saying this isn't just left versus right, it's America-loving patriots versus America-hating communists. It's no longer Republican versus Democrat, not even common sense versus crazy. It's America-loving versus America-hating communists, and today's Democrat Party has shown us who they really are. Democrats want to destroy America. Republicans love America and will fight to keep the United States the greatest country in the history of the world. And he posted this picture. Look at that. The Democrat donkey tied together with the hammer and sickle. So he frames the battle in very blunt terms, but the next warning comes from someone who says she's lived under the system Americans are being told not to question. A Sharia law survivor from Iran explains what he believes the West is inviting in.
Hello, my name is Eddie Issa. I'm a Sharia law survivor from Iran. And I'm here to tell you this is a dangerous ideology you're allowing in your country. Every country that is Islamic now, it used to be a Christian country. And we were soft Christians and we allowed these people to come in, bring their Sharia law into their countries and slowly kill us off left and right. Let me make it very clear to you. Christianity is a personal relationship with God where it says, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God's. Islam is Sharia law, deen wa dawah, religion and state, which is not even compatible with the American thing. And when these people will use taqiyya to lie to you, to manipulate you, because whenever Islam is little, they will lie to you and tell you they come in peace. This is level one. Level two is what's happening in UK right now, where you have two-tier policing, where you have like the blasphemy laws, Islamophobia, racism, all this nonsense that they talk about. First of all, Islam is not a race. So anytime you criticize Islam, they will use the race card. But every country has this disgusting ideology inside their country, including my own country, Iran, Russia. Islamophobia is another made-up bullshit because they don't want you to criticize their death cult. That's why they will put that. That's why they push it in UK. In every country they go to, M103 is in Canada right now. They deliberately try to silence us. And the worst people that are trapped in it is Muslims themselves because they can't leave that death cult. Because they're told, if you question that disgusting book, you're called a kuffar. And they get killed over it, just like my friends who are apostates in prison or dead right now in Iran. I'm telling you, this is a bad idea, and you're going to regret not listening to people like us who lived under Sharia law. Thank you, Eddie.
Wow. So, after hearing that firsthand warning, look at the scale of what critics say is already taking root here. Nancy Mace points to a massive Arbian march in Dearborn and asks why the left opened the door after Americans spent years fighting terror overseas. She says our troops went overseas and fought against terrorism for over a decade. They came home, and the left let these exact people into our country. 45,000 people filled Dearborn streets for largest Erbayin march in America. Nancy Mace outright calling them all terrorists. Do you agree with that? But these are the visuals that have been going viral all day today. Continuing, her point is about what America has allowed in. Now we turn to President Trump himself reacting after yet another heavily armed suspect was caught near one of his golf clubs, breaking his silence on a potential foiled assassination plot at his golf club by a man named Janine.
Was a threat. There was a man who was arrested, seemed to be heavily armed near the property here on Sunday. It's an ongoing concern, sir. Talk about that for briefly, if we can.
Well, the only thing I get a little solace from is they say only consequential presidents. And I am definitely consequential. I mean, if you look at the economy, if you look at what's happening, Iran, as an example, will never have a nuclear weapon. They already can't, but it's going to be formal. The strait's going to be open very soon, or they're going to get hit very hard, and then the strait's going to be open. And we were going to a tremendous attack, the biggest since World War II. And they called me and said, very politely, please, can we talk? Can we talk? They didn't want. And I said, yes, we can talk. Let's get it done. Finally, let's get it done. This should have been done by other presidents for 50 years. You know, you keep hearing 47, but that's been for 3 years now. It's been over 50 years. Other presidents or other countries should have been able to do this. And I did something that I had to do, because if they had a nuclear weapon, this whole world would be a different place.
If they back out.
So Trump says only consequential presidents draw this kind of threat, and the details are chilling. The next report lays out the charges, the loaded weapons, the fake badge, and what investigators say they found at the suspect's home.
Federal charges filed against this man, 38-year-old Janine John Tale of Downey. Officers arresting him this weekend at Trump National after Tale was spotted taking photos and video of security preparations for Mr. Trump's visit. A badge and a number of guns later recovered in his truck and at his Downey address. And earlier tonight, protesters and supporters showing up at Trump National for the president's event to raise money for the Republican National Committee ahead of the midterm elections. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam live in Rancho Palos Verdes tonight covering the president's visit. Tim.
Yeah, Mark, the president was here at a fundraiser speaking about the nation's economy and crime. His visit received mixed reviews. New video shows President Donald Trump on Marine One departing LAX. Earlier, the president spent a few hours at a Republican fundraising dinner at his golf club in Rancho Palos Verdes. Trump delivered remarks about the economy and crime. His arrival to the ritzy venue via Marine One created a spectacle. A few supporters greeted him with the American flag and Trump hats.
I'm very excited. I am somebody from California that loves Trump and loves his policies and supports him 100%.
But there were dozens of others who stood by the entrance to his golf club in protest.
We do not support Donald Trump and his policies. He's obliterating government agencies that we need.
At times, supporters and demonstrators clashed. Law enforcement was visible outside the dinner following a brief concern over the weekend. The sheriff's department said they arrested a man Saturday at Trump's golf club after federal agents reported seeing the man taking images of the security plans on site. Deputies detained Janine Tale and claimed they found several loaded guns and ammunition in his possession. On Tuesday, investigators searched the 38-year-old's home in Downey and say they found an illegal AR-style rifle, pistols, high-capacity magazines, body armor, radio devices, and notebooks with concerning statements.
My son has seen him before. He said hello to him one time.
This woman lives near the suspect and doesn't want to be identified. She's surprised.
It's scary. You know, we live here. We're not too far down from the house. But I never got that vibe, you know, because it's like a family. It was like a large, like a good amount of people living in their home. You don't know anybody that was willing to go that far, you know.
Tale facing federal and state charges of carrying a concealed firearm and possession of prohibited ammunition. He is scheduled to appear in court on Wednesday.
So the arrest is just one more sign of how dangerous this moment has become. And in the final clip, Charlie Kirk delivers a warning that hits the core of the fight, an alliance of Marxism and Islamism going after the American way of life.
Spiritual battle is coming to the West, and the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low-crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. That's important. We want the American way of life, which is, by the way, Christendom. Christians, our sacrifice, our toil, our vision, the outgrowth of the scriptures gave us Western civilization.
Rest in peace, Charlie. Rest in peace. Quote, I think Islam hates us. That's what Donald Trump said years ago. And now packed town halls, Muslim Brotherhood conquest talk, and Charlie Kirk's Islam plus Marxism warning have blown the lid off the lie, because Gretchen Whitmer's party, cowardly local councils, and the America-hating machine that Mike Johnson named kept the gates open while Ted Cruz had to say the obvious out loud: the Muslim Brotherhood is not a peaceful religious organization. So that vote in McKinney, Texas, 7-0, after 5 hours of public outrage, demands names, consequences, and recalls. And that's where we hit back. Put every council member, every local planner, every Democrat protector of this garbage on blast, and don't let them hide behind process after they ignored packed rooms and standing lobbies. Trump warned the country when he said, I think Islam hates us. Charlie Kirk warned us about Islam and Marxism linking arms. Ted Cruz drew the constitutional line. Mike Johnson named the bigger war. While patriots get smeared, President Trump still faced a man outside his golf club with hollow point ammunition, body armor, a fake security badge, and a modified AR. That's enough. Drop your town in the comments and send this to one neighbor who still thinks this is harmless, and keep the heat on every official who helped this happen. The Oath Keeper's convictions getting wiped proves this old regime is losing its grip. So that 7-0 McKinney, Texas slap in the face is exactly why you need our Inside channel tonight. Text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed Inside the White House. We send what our team pulls straight from the building to your phone nightly before the platforms decide to bury it. And for the ones who are done just reading and watching, text the word signal to that same number and enlist in the Next News Signal Corps, a citizens' comms grid with real missions, real ranks, briefings, and a command center that the legacy press cannot switch off.